AI, disinformation, and democracy, the battle for truth in the digital age. Intro: the new age of deception. Imagine waking up to a video of your country's leader announcing a war. Or a phone call from a political candidate urging you not to vote. Now imagine both were fake, created not by humans, but by artificial intelligence. This is not the future. This is our present. In a world where every video can be faked, every voice can be cloned, and every headline can be generated in seconds, the question is no longer what is true, but who controls the truth. This documentary explores how AI is reshaping disinformation, and how it threatens democracy itself. It is a battle that affects every nation, every citizen, and every election. Chapter 1: The Long Shadow of Misinformation. Disinformation has existed since the dawn of human society. It has always been a weapon, used to gain power, to wage wars, and to control populations. What has changed through history is not the existence of lies, but the methods by which they spread. In ancient times, rulers understood the power of words as much as the power of armies. Egyptian pharaohs carved exaggerated victories into temple walls, erasing defeats from memory. To the people who read them centuries later, the message was clear: their leader was invincible, chosen by the gods. During the Roman Empire, political rivals accused one another of treachery and corruption, often using staged events or paid orators to sway public opinion in the Senate and in the streets. A whisper campaign could destroy reputations just as surely as a sword could. Centuries later, in medieval Europe, kings and popes issued proclamations filled with falsehoods to justify wars. When Pope Urban II launched the First Crusade, tales of atrocities committed by Muslims were exaggerated or invented to inflame Christian zeal. Monarchs too relied on rumor to suppress dissent, branding opponents as heretics or traitors long before any trial was held. The printing press, hailed as the foundation of modern knowledge, also became a vehicle for lies. Pamphlets in the 16th and 17th centuries spread wild conspiracy theories, religious propaganda, and slander against rival nobles. Ordinary people, with limited education, often struggled to separate fact from fiction. Even as literacy grew, so too did the reach of misinformation. Propaganda in the 20th century. In the 20th century, misinformation reached industrial scale. The Nazi regime in Germany perfected the art of propaganda. Joseph Goebbels, Hitler's minister of propaganda, used newspapers, radio, film, and posters to demonize Jews and other minorities. Lies were repeated so often that they became accepted as truth. Through carefully crafted disinformation, genocide was justified, and millions of ordinary Germans came to believe in the righteousness of mass murder. The Soviet Union became another master of disinformation. Its intelligence services launched campaigns designed to discredit Western governments. One famous example, known as Operation INFEKTION, spread the false claim that AIDS was a US military experiment gone wrong. Soviet-backed newspapers in India and Africa printed the story, and it spread worldwide, sowing doubt and mistrust. Even in the United States, disinformation was used as a tool during the Cold War. Agencies funded fake media outlets, published misleading reports, and quietly supported propaganda designed to sway opinion in foreign countries. The battlefield was no longer just in distant jungles or deserts, it was in the minds of ordinary citizens. The Internet Revolution. Disinformation is not new. But the arrival of the Internet, and later, social media, transformed its speed, its reach, and its impact. By the late 1990s, rumors could be shared in chat rooms and email chains, bypassing traditional gatekeepers like editors and publishers. By the early 2000s, misinformation could spread across the world in seconds. Social media platforms supercharged this process. Their algorithms rewarded content that sparked outrage, fear, or joy, emotions that drive clicks, comments, and shares. Unfortunately, lies are often more sensational than truth. A shocking conspiracy theory will travel faster than a carefully written fact check. Studies have shown that false news spreads more rapidly than real news online, not only because it is novel and dramatic, but because humans are psychologically wired to share surprising information. On Twitter, for example, fake stories were found to spread 6 times faster than factual ones. This was not simply a question of personal gullibility. It was the design of the platforms themselves. The business model of social media depended on engagement, and engagement favored outrage. Fake news traveled faster than fact-checkers could respond. Entire communities grew around conspiracy theories, from anti-vaccine movements to claims of stolen elections. Public trust in journalism began to erode, as people no longer knew what to believe. The post-truth era. By the 2010s, many scholars began speaking of a post-truth era, a time when emotions outweighed evidence, and personal belief often mattered more than facts. From Brexit campaigns in the United Kingdom to elections in the United States, disinformation played a decisive role. Political operatives used micro-targeting on Facebook and Twitter to deliver customized lies to different groups of voters. Entire industries arose around misinformation. Troll farms in Russia, North Macedonia, and elsewhere generated thousands of fake accounts. Some were politically motivated. Others were simply in it for profit, using clickbait lies to generate advertising revenue. The boundaries between propaganda, rumor, and entertainment blurred. Many consumers no longer cared whether stories were true, only whether they confirmed their own beliefs. The result was polarization, mistrust, and division. Democracy, already fragile in many places, came under immense strain. And just as societies began to understand the scale of this crisis, another transformation arrived. Artificial intelligence, a revolution in deception. Then came artificial intelligence, and with it, a revolution in deception. In the past, creating fake content required resources. Forging a document, manipulating a photograph, or dubbing a video was difficult, costly, and time-consuming. AI erased those barriers. With a few lines of text, a convincing article can be generated. With a single photo, a synthetic video can be created. With just a few seconds of audio, an entire voice can be cloned. Unlike traditional misinformation, which often carried subtle clues, AI-generated content can be flawless. Deepfakes reproduce facial expressions, accents, and gestures so convincingly that even experts struggle to tell the difference. What was once the domain of intelligence agencies and propaganda departments is now available to anyone with an internet connection. Free AI tools allow ordinary people to create manipulated media that would have taken Hollywood studios days to produce. This changes everything. Disinformation is no longer just a nuisance. It has become an existential threat to truth itself. When every photo, video, and voice recording can be fabricated, the very foundation of evidence collapses. And if truth collapses, democracy follows. Misinformation has always haunted human history. But never before has it been so fast, so cheap, and so convincing. The long shadow of misinformation stretches from ancient empires to medieval kingdoms, from Nazi Germany to the digital age. And now, with artificial intelligence, it enters a new phase, one that threatens not only politics, but the very idea of shared reality. The question is no longer whether lies exist, they always have. The question now is whether societies can withstand them. Chapter 2: Enter Artificial Intelligence. Artificial intelligence has turned disinformation into a global weapon of unprecedented power. In the past, creating convincing fakes required resources, time, and expertise. Intelligence agencies and professional propagandists worked for weeks to forge documents, edit films, or spread rumors. Today, the same effect can be achieved by a single individual with a laptop. AI has democratized deception. With free tools, anyone can create lies at industrial scale. The rise of deepfakes. Among the most alarming examples are deepfakes, videos and audio clips generated by AI that can place anyone's face, voice, or body into any context. In 2022, a deepfake video emerged showing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky calling on his army to surrender. It was crude, but convincing enough to spread panic before being debunked. The goal was not to persuade everyone, it was to sow doubt, to make people hesitate, to erode trust. In 2024, during the US presidential primaries, thousands of voters received robocalls in what sounded like the voice of President Joe Biden. The calls urged people not to vote. The voice was fake, but the suppression attempt was very real. And in India's 2024 elections, deepfakes of political leaders spread across WhatsApp and Instagram. Some showed candidates making inflammatory remarks. Others placed them in embarrassing or compromising situations. Even after being exposed as fake, the damage was done. Once a video goes viral, corrections rarely reach the same audience. Deepfakes are dangerous not just because they can fool people, but because they create plausible deniability. If any video can be fake, then real evidence can be dismissed as fake too. A corrupt leader caught on camera can simply claim, "It's a deepfake." Truth becomes negotiable. AI beyond video. But deepfakes are only one piece of the puzzle. AI is capable of manufacturing disinformation in many forms. AI models can generate convincing news articles filled with fabricated statistics and fake expert quotes. Entire websites have sprung up, producing hundreds of such articles daily, masquerading as independent journalism. Academic-style papers can also be faked, complete with references, charts, and technical jargon. To the average reader, and even to journalists, these documents appear authentic, lending authority to false claims. Voice cloning has advanced rapidly. With just a few seconds of recorded speech, AI can reproduce someone's tone, pitch, and accent with eerie accuracy. Beyond Biden's fake robocalls, similar voice fakes have been used in corporate fraud schemes, tricking employees into transferring millions of dollars. AI-generated images are another weapon. They can depict fake protests, fabricated disasters, or events that never occurred. In early 2023, a fake image of an explosion near the Pentagon briefly went viral on Twitter, causing stock markets to dip before the hoax was exposed. And then there are the bot armies. AI-powered bots can flood social media with posts, likes, and comments, creating the illusion of popularity. They amplify lies, push hashtags, and manipulate trending topics. What looks like organic conversation is often a carefully coordinated campaign. The psychology of AI lies. The danger of AI disinformation is not only its realism, but its psychology. Humans are more likely to believe information when it appears in multiple places. An AI-generated story, boosted by thousands of fake accounts, feels credible because it seems popular. AI also exploits what psychologists call the illusory truth effect. The more often a statement is repeated, the more likely people are to accept it as true. With AI, repetition is infinite. Even when lies are later debunked, they leave a trace. Studies show that people often remember the falsehood more vividly than the correction. AI-generated disinformation does not have to be perfect, it only has to be persuasive enough in the moment. From individuals to nations. AI disinformation is not limited to state actors. Ordinary citizens can now produce professional-grade fakes. Hobbyists experiment with deepfake software to put celebrities into films or jokes. But in the wrong hands, the same tools become weapons of fraud, blackmail, and political manipulation. At the state level, the stakes are higher. Governments and intelligence agencies are rapidly incorporating AI into information warfare. During conflicts in Ukraine, Gaza, and elsewhere, AI-generated content has been used to confuse populations and influence international opinion. Even terrorist groups have begun experimenting with AI-generated recruitment videos, tailoring messages to specific audiences. The barrier to entry has never been lower. The collapse of evidence. What makes AI especially dangerous is its ability to undermine the very concept of evidence. For centuries, photographs, recordings, and eyewitness testimony formed the backbone of truth in courts, journalism, and public life. A video could prove guilt. A recording could expose corruption. But if any video can be faked, and any voice can be cloned, what counts as proof? This phenomenon is known as the liar's dividend. It gives liars an advantage. When caught, they can simply deny reality. Real scandals are dismissed as fabrications, while fake scandals are promoted as truth. In both cases, public trust erodes. AI is a global weapon. Artificial intelligence is not just copying reality. It is rewriting it. Unlike traditional propaganda, which was often clumsy and recognizable, AI disinformation is subtle, sophisticated, and scalable. It can be personalized to target individuals based on their browsing history, political views, or emotional triggers. A person worried about healthcare might see an AI-generated article exaggerating medical failures. Another concerned about jobs might receive fake statistics about unemployment. Each message is tailored, making the lie more persuasive. This is not mass propaganda. It is precision propaganda, misinformation designed to exploit each individual's fears and beliefs. The result is fragmentation. Instead of one shared reality, society splinters into millions of customized realities, each shaped by invisible algorithms. The new arms race. AI has triggered a new arms race, not of missiles or tanks, but of truth and lies. On one side, AI tools are used to create deception. On the other, researchers develop detection systems to spot deepfakes and flag manipulated content. But AI evolves faster than the defenses. Each time a detection system improves, new models emerge that bypass it. This constant cycle means disinformation will never be fully eliminated. The question is how societies adapt, whether through education, regulation, or resilience. Artificial intelligence has democratized deception. It has given ordinary people the power once reserved for propaganda ministries and spy agencies. From deepfakes to voice cloning, from fake articles to bot armies, AI is not simply a tool for copying reality. It is a tool for rewriting it. And in this new world, the first casualty is trust. Chapter 3: Democracy Under Siege. Democracy depends on informed citizens. At its core, it is not simply about casting votes. It is about making choices based on accurate information. Voters must be able to trust that the news they read, the debates they watch, and the evidence they see is real. Without trust, the democratic process unravels. But artificial intelligence has begun to undermine that foundation. Disinformation is no longer just a nuisance, it is a direct threat to the integrity of elections. The fragility of trust. Democracy is fragile. It is built not on walls or weapons, but on invisible bonds of trust. Citizens trust that their leaders will accept results, that ballots will be counted fairly, and that the information they receive is reliable. AI disinformation attacks these bonds directly. Fake scandals can be manufactured overnight. Politicians' voices and faces can be cloned and inserted into videos showing crimes, corruption, or outrageous behavior. These fabrications often spread faster than fact-checkers can respond. By the time a correction is issued, the damage is already done. In a world flooded with convincing fakes, voters are left wondering, who can I believe? Case study: Moldova's elections. In 2024, during elections in Moldova, deepfakes circulated showing candidates making inflammatory remarks. These clips were designed to inflame tensions and sway undecided voters. Though debunked, the videos had already gone viral, reaching thousands of citizens before corrections emerged. The goal was not only to damage reputations, but to plant seeds of doubt. If one candidate could be faked, why not another? The result was confusion, suspicion, and mistrust in the electoral process itself. Case study: India's 2024 elections. In India, the world's largest democracy, AI disinformation became a defining feature of the 2024 elections. Manipulated videos of party leaders began to circulate weeks before voting. Some showed leaders insulting communities, others placed them in fabricated scenarios. These fakes spread rapidly through WhatsApp groups, Facebook feeds, and TikTok reels. Even after being exposed, many voters continued to believe them. Studies show that in high-intensity elections, once misinformation enters the bloodstream of public discourse, it cannot be fully removed. The danger was not only to individual candidates, but to the credibility of the entire system. If elections are meant to reflect the will of the people, what happens when that will is shaped by lies? Case study: the United States. Across the ocean, the United States also faced the growing shadow of AI disinformation. In the run-up to the 2024 primaries, thousands of voters received robocalls that sounded exactly like President Joe Biden's voice. The calls urged them not to vote. The voice was fake, but the attempt to suppress turnout was real. This was not an isolated incident. Across the US, fake videos and AI-generated posts targeted specific groups of voters, deepening polarization. When lies are tailored to each audience, they are harder to detect, and harder to resist. The new playbook of political warfare. What unites these examples is a chilling new reality: disinformation has become the new playbook of political warfare. AI allows political operatives, and hostile foreign actors, to manufacture scandals at will. No longer do they need to wait for an opponent to make a mistake. They can simply create one. A fabricated video can depict a candidate taking bribes, insulting a community, or admitting to corruption. Within hours, it can trend on social media, spark outrage, and dominate headlines. Even if disproven, the suspicion lingers. This phenomenon is often described as mud that sticks. Once a doubt is planted, it is rarely erased. In politics, perception often matters more than truth. The insidious effect of doubt. The greatest danger of AI disinformation is not that it convinces everyone of lies. It is that it convinces people that nothing can be trusted at all. When citizens cannot tell truth from fiction, they disengage. They stop believing the news. They stop trusting institutions. Some stop voting altogether. This collapse of trust is devastating for democracy. Without trust, ballots lose meaning, debates lose purpose, and leaders can claim whatever they want without consequence. This is what scholars call the disinformation trap. Lies do not need to persuade. They only need to confuse. The liar's dividend. There is another consequence of AI disinformation: the liar's dividend. When everything can be faked, even genuine evidence can be dismissed as fake. A politician caught on tape making racist remarks can simply claim, "That's a deepfake." A corrupt leader exposed in a leaked recording can insist, "It's AI generated." In this way, AI does not only create lies, it erases truth. The very idea of evidence becomes negotiable. And in a courtroom, in a newsroom, or in an election, evidence is everything. The democratic spiral. As AI disinformation spreads, it sets off a dangerous spiral. First, voters begin to doubt candidates. Then they begin to doubt the system. Soon, they doubt democracy itself. This spiral creates openings for authoritarian leaders who promise to cut through the lies, often by consolidating power, silencing media, and restricting free speech. In the name of fighting fake news, they sometimes suppress real news. In this way, disinformation weakens democracy not only directly, but indirectly, by paving the way for authoritarianism. Elections require trust. Democracy requires truth. But AI disinformation corrodes both. From Moldova to India, from the United States to countless other nations, the pattern is the same: fake scandals, viral lies, and citizens left questioning what is real. The danger is not only that voters believe falsehoods. It is that they stop believing altogether. When truth itself becomes uncertain, democracy collapses. And that is the insidious power of AI disinformation. Chapter 4: Beyond Politics, the New Weapons of Deception. When most people think of AI disinformation, they imagine elections, fake videos of politicians, cloned voices of leaders, and viral lies that sway voters. But the truth is far darker. The threat of AI disinformation extends far beyond politics. It seeps into health, economics, geopolitics, and everyday life. And in each of these realms, the stakes are not just votes, but lives, livelihoods, and international peace. Health: a war on science. In health, AI-generated misinformation has already proved deadly. During the COVID-19 pandemic, lies spread faster than the virus itself. Fake treatments, conspiracy theories about vaccines, and fabricated studies circulated widely on social media. Some claimed drinking bleach could cure infection. Others insisted vaccines were a global plot. Health authorities struggled to respond. By the time a correction appeared, the lie had gone viral. Now, with AI, these falsehoods have become more convincing than ever. Videos can be generated showing what appear to be real doctors giving medical advice. Fake studies can be written in academic style, complete with references and technical jargon. Imagine a video of a trusted doctor, cloned by AI, warning people not to take life-saving medicine. Imagine a fake scientific paper, indistinguishable from a real one, claiming that a vaccine causes harm. These lies do more than confuse. They kill. In some countries, vaccine hesitancy fueled by online misinformation has led to the resurgence of diseases once thought eradicated. Parents refusing vaccinations for their children have triggered outbreaks of measles and polio. In the future, AI could spread false alarms about pandemics, triggering panic. Or it could mask real outbreaks, delaying global response. In matters of health, disinformation is not just dangerous, it is deadly. Economics: markets in the crosshairs. AI disinformation also threatens the world of economics, where information drives markets. Stock prices rise or fall based on news, confidence, and perception. And perception can be manipulated. In 2023, a single AI-generated image of an explosion near the Pentagon briefly went viral on Twitter. The image was fake, but within minutes, stock markets dipped as traders reacted. Billions in value were briefly wiped away, all because of one false photo. Cryptocurrency markets are even more vulnerable. Unlike traditional exchanges, they operate 24/7 and are heavily influenced by online rumors. A fake report about a government crackdown can trigger massive sell-offs. AI-generated articles, designed to look like credible financial journalism, can fool investors into buying or dumping assets. Even automated trading systems, which rely on algorithms to respond instantly to news, can be tricked. A fake headline, spread quickly, can trigger a cascade of machine-driven trades, creating chaos in seconds. What does this mean? That the stability of global markets can be shaken not just by policy or events, but by convincing lies generated by artificial intelligence. In the age of AI, trust is no longer just political capital, it is financial capital too. Geopolitics: information as a weapon of war. Perhaps the most alarming arena where AI disinformation has spread is geopolitics. During conflicts in Ukraine and Gaza, AI-generated stories, images, and videos have been used as weapons. Some fakes showed soldiers committing atrocities that never occurred. Others fabricated footage of attacks to inflame anger. The goal is not always to persuade, but to confuse. To make people question every piece of information. If truth cannot be identified, then lies cannot be disproven. Nations are also using AI disinformation to influence international opinion. A well-placed fake video can shape global narratives, sway public sympathy, and fracture alliances. This is not hypothetical. Governments have already accused one another of deploying bot armies and AI-driven campaigns to weaken trust, spread conspiracy theories, and destabilize societies. Entire narratives can now be engineered. A nation seeking to justify war might release AI-generated evidence of an enemy attack. Another might fabricate stories of humanitarian crises to rally support. In this way, AI has turned information itself into a battlefield. Wars are no longer fought only with tanks and missiles. They are fought with pixels, code, and lies. Everyday life, trust under siege. But the danger is not confined to governments, corporations, or armies. It extends into the daily lives of ordinary citizens. Imagine receiving a phone call from your employer, asking you to transfer money for an urgent business deal. The voice is identical to your boss's. You obey, only to discover it was AI-generated fraud. Imagine seeing a video of a loved one involved in a crime. It looks real. It sounds real. But it is fake. Already, AI disinformation is being used in scams, blackmail, and harassment. Fake intimate images of celebrities and ordinary people circulate online. Voice clones are used to trick families into paying fake ransoms. This is not only about misinformation at the societal level. It is about manipulation at the personal level. When trust in voices, faces, and evidence collapses, everyday life becomes a minefield. The collapse of shared reality. The true danger of AI disinformation lies in its reach. Politics, health, economics, geopolitics, personal life, no sphere is safe. AI has blurred the line between reality and fiction. And when reality itself is uncertain, society fractures. Public health weakens when people believe lies over science. Markets destabilize when traders cannot trust the news. Wars grow more dangerous when falsehoods spark outrage. And individuals suffer when their identities can be stolen and manipulated with ease. The collapse of shared reality is the greatest threat of all. If citizens, investors, and nations cannot agree on what is real, then cooperation becomes impossible. And without cooperation, societies unravel. Artificial intelligence has given humanity powerful tools. But in the wrong hands, those tools have become weapons. AI disinformation does not only target elections. It targets science, finance, war, and personal trust. It has turned information itself into a battlefield. And in that battle, the casualties are not only facts, but the very foundations of our world. Chapter 5: Fighting Back: Global Responses. The world is scrambling to fight back against AI disinformation. But progress is slow. For every breakthrough in detection, a new method of deception emerges. For every rule written, a new loophole appears. And while governments, technology companies, and researchers are working to defend truth, the battle often feels uneven, like chasing shadows in the dark. Tech companies on the front lines. Technology companies, many of which created the very AI tools now fueling disinformation, find themselves on the front lines of defense. Some platforms are experimenting with watermarking, invisible digital signatures embedded in AI-generated content. These marks, in theory, would allow viewers and regulators to identify when an image, video, or audio clip was produced by artificial intelligence. But watermarking is not foolproof. Marks can be removed, altered, or avoided altogether. And because AI models are open source in many cases, not every developer follows the same standards. Detection tools are another line of defense. These systems scan content for irregularities, unusual pixel patterns, unnatural lighting, or inconsistencies in audio. Sometimes they work. But AI evolves rapidly, producing outputs so realistic that even advanced detectors struggle to keep up. It has become a cat and mouse game. Each time a detector improves, new AI models bypass it. The arms race never stops. Governments step in. Governments are also stepping in, though cautiously. In Europe, the EU AI Act has set some of the strictest rules yet, requiring transparency in AI-generated content and imposing penalties on companies that fail to label manipulated media. In the United States, lawmakers are drafting regulations aimed at political campaigns. Proposals include requiring disclaimers on AI-generated ads and banning the use of deepfakes in election materials. But disagreements over free speech and enforcement have slowed progress. India, home to one of the world's largest and most digitally active electorates, has established monitoring units during election periods. These task forces track viral content, flag potential deepfakes, and pressure social media platforms to remove harmful misinformation quickly. Yet despite these efforts, regulation remains reactive, not proactive. Laws are debated and passed months or years after the technology has already moved on. The border problem. But there is a deeper challenge. Regulation is limited by borders. AI is not. A fake video created in one country can spread across the world in hours. A deepfake recorded in Moscow can trend in Mumbai. A fabricated article written in Manila can influence voters in Madrid. No single government can stop this flood of falsehoods. Even coordinated efforts struggle, because disinformation does not respect national boundaries. This is the dilemma of globalization. While technology moves at the speed of light, laws move at the speed of politics. The role of international organizations. Some argue that only international cooperation can address this crisis. The United Nations has called for global standards on AI safety and transparency. The G7 and G20 have both placed disinformation on their agendas. But global consensus is difficult. Different nations have different priorities. Democracies want safeguards to protect elections. Authoritarian regimes, meanwhile, often exploit AI disinformation themselves, using it to control narratives at home and influence events abroad. In this fractured landscape, cooperation is fragile. Agreements may be signed, but enforcement remains weak. And without enforcement, rules are little more than words on paper. Civil society and media literacy. Beyond governments and tech companies, civil society groups and educators are also part of the fight. Non-profits and universities are developing tools to verify images and videos. Fact-checking organizations work tirelessly to debunk viral lies. Some schools are beginning to teach digital literacy, helping students recognize manipulated media. But media literacy is a long-term solution. It takes years to educate a population, and even the most skeptical citizens can be fooled by convincing AI content. Still, building resilience among ordinary people may be the most effective defense. After all, technology may create lies, but it is humans who choose to believe and spread them. The gap between technology and law. This leaves us with a dangerous gap, the gap between the speed of technology and the slowness of law. AI can create a fake video in minutes. It may take days for fact-checkers to respond, weeks for platforms to react, and months or years for governments to regulate. By then, the damage is done. This gap is not closing. In fact, it may be widening. Each new generation of AI is more powerful, more accessible, and more capable of producing lies indistinguishable from truth. The defenders of truth are always playing catch-up. A new kind of arms race. The fight against AI disinformation resembles a new kind of arms race, not between nations, but between creators of deception and defenders of truth. On one side are those who build tools to manipulate reality. On the other are researchers, regulators, and educators racing to expose and contain the lies. But unlike traditional arms races, this one is invisible. Its battles are fought in news feeds, comment sections, and private messages. Its weapons are not bombs or missiles, but images, voices, and stories. And its casualties are trust, truth, and democracy itself. The world is fighting back against AI disinformation. Tech companies deploy watermarks. Governments pass laws. Fact-checkers work around the clock. Yet the lies keep coming, faster, smarter, and more convincing. This is the paradox of our age. The more tools we build to defend truth, the more powerful the tools of deception become. The question is not whether societies can stop disinformation entirely. They cannot. The question is whether they can survive it. Conclusion: the battle for truth. Disinformation is as old as politics. But artificial intelligence has given it a new power, scale, speed, and believability like never before. The fight against AI disinformation is not just about technology. It is about democracy, human rights, and the survival of truth itself. If democracy is built on informed citizens, then AI disinformation strikes at its foundation. The next war may not be fought with bombs or bullets, but with lies so convincing we can no longer tell what is real. The question is not whether AI will be used to deceive, but whether societies can adapt before it is too late. For every nation, every community, every citizen, this is the battle of our time, the battle for truth. Thank you for watching. If you found this video insightful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Uncovering Facts for more.